Hi there, and welcome to another Dollar Tree craft tutorial. In this video, I'll be showing you how to turn tin cans into a decorative farmhouse floral arrangement for your home. For this craft, I was inspired to make something to fit on a ladder shelf in my living room. The top shelves are pretty narrow, so I was having difficulty finding something that fit the space well. It's wintertime now, and lately I've been making a lot of soups and using canned vegetables. I don't know if you're like me, but I always think that when I'm throwing the cans away, there could be something I could make out of all of them. And the idea hit me to see if the cans would fit on the shelf, so I grabbed one from my pantry and set it there. I thought it fit nicely depth-wise, but felt it needed something to give height, and a floral arrangement of some sort came to mind. So the next day I went to my local Dollar Tree and they had just stocked the spring floral stems. I found they had faux hydrangeas, and hydrangeas are my all-time favorite flower. I think they are classic and timeless, so I knew these would be a great option for my floral arrangement. After making my flower selection, I went to the craft aisle to see what I could use to decorate the tin cans with. I knew I wanted to cover the can either by painting it or covering it with a material like fabric or rope. I saw the jute cord and decided to go with that to cover the outside of the can to bring a natural color and texture. They also had a variety of chalkboard tags that caught my eye, and that's when the idea to group a few cans together to spell something came to mind. I knew I could not get a ton of cans on the shelf, so I would need a short word, and I thought the word home would be perfect. Initially, I wanted wood letters that I would paint and glue to the chalkboard tags. However, this particular store only had wood numbers. I did end up grabbing a wood sign that spelled home, and I thought I could just cut the letters from the base and glue them to the chalkboard tags. However, in hindsight, the removal of the letters from the base was quite an ordeal. I was able to remove the letters from the sign, but not without chipping them, and they did end up slightly uneven at the bottom. It took a lot of time and effort and sanding, and it was way more involved than I was expecting it to be. Learning from that, I would not recommend it unless you have the proper cutting tools and you feel comfortable tackling that. So now, after my little disclaimer about how to not choose the incorrect wood letters, let's get into all the supplies you'll need for this craft. Of course, you'll need 4 tin cans. These are just a standard 14.5 ounce can. You just remove the lids and labels and give them a good cleaning. You will need only 2 rolls of the jute cord. I found I only needed 1 and a partial second roll to cover all 4 of the cans. If you plan to paint the chalkboard tag or the wood letters, you will need a paint. This is just white acrylic paint that was purchased from the Dollar Tree. And of course, a paint brush to apply that paint. You will need a hot glue gun and glue sticks. You will also need a pack of the chalkboard hang tags. These came in a pack of 6. If you plan to use wood letters, I would recommend either going to another craft store to find the wood letters. However, you can also stencil or handwrite or hand paint, and trust me, it will make your crafting life a whole lot easier than by using another method. And finally, your choice of a floral bouquet. I used a total of 5. That was one bouquet in each can, and the 5th bouquet I used to fill in as needed. To start this project, simply add a dab of hot glue to the bottom center of the can. I created a small circle shape with the jute cord and placed that into the hot glue. From there, you will just add small lines of glue, pressing the jute cord into it. You will continue working in that spiral shape until you've completely covered the bottom of the can. Once you have made it to the edge of the can, you will just transition up the side and begin wrapping the jute cord around the can using the same method of applying short lines of hot glue and pressing the jute cord into it. This was a bit time consuming. I believe it took me about an hour and a half to completely wrap all 4 cans, but it was worth it in the end to achieve the look I was going for. Once my cans were wrapped, I painted my wood letters that I was going to glue to the tags. After painting the letters, it was time to prepare them to glue to the chalkboard tags. I knew the hang tags were just about as long as the cans were, so I was going to need to trim them down. I just placed a hang tag up against one of the cans to get a visual of where I needed to place my letters. Personally, I just eyeballed it, but you can use a ruler to measure the distance if you don't trust your eyeballing skills. After I had the H hot glued in place, I lined the next tag up with the first one to give myself a guide of where to glue the next letters. Again, you can use a ruler to measure the distance if you don't feel comfortable just eyeballing it. Once all the letters were glued in place, I then trimmed the excess off the bottom of the tags, and again, I used my first tag as a template for the rest. After trimming them down, I felt the tags needed a little something extra, so I used a toothpick to apply a stitch effect to the edges of the tags. I used a piece of the cutoff to practice applying the paint so that I could get an idea and feel for how to apply that stitching around my tags. Now it's time to hot glue the hang tags to the inside of the cans. Again, I eyeballed the placement I felt looked best to hang and applied a dollop of hot glue inside and pressed the string into the glue. Using the first can as a template, I hot glued the next tag in place and so on and so forth. Now it's time to move on to the floral bouquets, but prior to trimming them down, I use a method you may have not seen before, and yes, it's a blow dryer. It seems a little funny, however, this technique will help to give them a fluff and to look a lot fuller. Simply use the highest heat setting on the lowest speed and give them a quick blow dry. Usually these floral bouquets come in boxes and are smashed down, which creates creases and folds in the petals. Using the blow dryer will help the petals relax and allow them to lay a little nicer. As you can see, the one on the right that got a fresh blowout is much fuller than the one on the left that came straight from the store. Now that the floral stems have their fresh blowout, it's time to trim them to fit inside of your cans. I found a good length to cut these is right where they appear to grow out of the main part of the stem. I would recommend using wire cutters for this part. Scissors just aren't strong enough to cut the wire in there, at least mine aren't. I also found that by pushing the leaves up towards the flower petals, it helped create a more full look at the top of the can. So I went through and did that to all the floral stems. If you cut them too short, you can of course use one of those foam floral blocks from the Dollar Tree. But an even cheaper hack I found is to simply use an old scrap piece of paper from the printer or something and ball it up and push it down inside of the can. This will help give height and also keep the stems from shifting. Now it's finally time to add this farmhouse floral arrangement to its new home on my bare little shelf. I thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial, and I hope this is something you'll be able to utilize in your own home, or even modify it for something like a wedding or baby shower decorations. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And also, if you'd like to be notified when I upload more crafting videos like this one, please hit the subscribe button below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy crafting!